James Gunn's Superman trailer teases a fresh start but echoes Snyder's darkest dilemma. Lex targets Clark's loved ones, like Zod once did. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. James Gunn lobbed a heat vision blast straight into the Snyderverse debate with his first Superman trailer, and it's already splitting the fandom. The new look at David Corenswet's Clark Kent is lighter in color, sure, but the theme seems strikingly familiar. James Gunn's Superman trailer dropped, and it's not shying away from tension. The visuals may scream fresh start, but the core conflict feels hauntingly familiar to longtime DC fans. With Lex Luthor threatening the people closest to Clark Kent, the emotional weight mirrors past Superman showdowns, especially those seen under Zack Snyder's direction. This time, the danger feels more psychological than physical, but just as personal. The trailer blends classic Superman optimism with unsettling threats, setting up a story that could echo old dilemmas in new ways. Snyder fans are calling it déjà vu, the military standoff, the tension between alien savior and fragile humanity. And now, a powerful bald genius is targeting Lois Lane and family. It's the same emotional conundrum, repackaged in Gunn's pastel-filtered world. But Gunn's not exactly pretending this is a reboot without roots. There's a clear wink at what came before, even as it tries to break free. The real question is, will this Superman break the cycle or just relive it in HD? From the jump, the trailer leans into the age-old Man of Steel dilemma. What happens when Earth's mightiest alien is forced to choose between saving the world or protecting his own? Sound familiar? That's because Superman shows Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult, threatening Clark's loved ones. A very Zod moves on Martha moment, just with a new villain and sharper dialogue. One thing's clear, Superman isn't sidestepping the Snyder era. It's engaging with it, remixing it, maybe even challenging it. The war isn't just in the story. It's between the fans, too. And come July 2025, we'll see if Gunn's Superman can finally win them all over, or just reopen old wounds. The trailer also teases Lex as a media manipulator, possibly more cunning than brutal. But the stakes still land in the same place: personal loss, public fear, and Superman caught in the middle. Unlike Marvel's tangled web of must-watch content, Gunn says each project will stand on its own. No more homework, just heroics. That's the promise James Gunn is making with his new Superman and the rebooted DC Universe. Anybody can dip in and see the story that is up next and not feel like they're missing information, he told Entertainment Weekly. No more watching 5 Disney Plus shows to follow a movie plot. That doesn't mean Gunn's skipping the big picture. He's still teasing a longer arc, possibly Justice League-sized. But for now, he's keeping it simple. One film, one story, no strings. David Corenswet saved James Gunn from making the same mistake as Zack Snyder with the Superman suit. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. In a recent Fandango interview, David Corenswet appeared alongside co-stars Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, and the writer, director/producer of the upcoming Superman, James Gunn. The cast joined Fandango host Perry Nemiroff to tease what's ahead in Gunn's upcoming superhero movie. While avoiding spoilers, the conversation subtly turned to Superman's iconic red trunks. In the world of superhero cinema, every detail matters, and for Superman, that means his infamous trunks. While Zack Snyder tried a modern gritty take on Superman with Henry Cavill in the 2013 hit Man of Steel, and it did make the front pages for its CGI-heavy visuals and seriousness, there was one major omission that still irks fans to this day: the iconic red trunks. Stripping Cavill's Superman of a classic comic book element in favor of a sleeker look was indicative of Snyder's decision to distance the superhero from the original hopeful, colorful roots. Fast forward to 2025, and we've got another Superman waiting to save the damsels. And it looks like David Corenswet, our newest superhero, might have been the one to convince director/producer James Gunn to stick with the OG trunks. The decision to ultimately include trunks in the upcoming film was deeply influenced by Corenswet himself. For him, the trunks weren't just another part of the costume but the very thing that defined Superman. They were a part of the mythos that kept the otherwise intense character a little grounded in silliness, just as a clever contrast to his powers. Gunn recalled, "One of the biggest questions was, were we going to have trunks or were we going to, not have trunks? I talked to Zack Snyder, who was like, You know, I tried a billion different versions with the trunks, and at the end of the day I tried it, but I couldn't get there, and I was feeling exactly the same way. David, he tried in not trunks, and he tried in trunks, and I still was going to go with not trunks, and then you said, Cornsweat chimed in. Well, you wanted trunks in theory. But the problem is they look kind of silly. You were looking for a way to make them look cool, or you were looking for a function, an explanation for having them, justify them, and my thing was just, maybe they're supposed to look a little silly, maybe the reason he wears them is to look a little silly, basically to undermine how powerful he really is. Zack Snyder's decision to omit the signature red trunks for Henry Cavill's Superman in Man of Steel might have been rooted in realism. We get it, he wanted a Kryptonian warrior, not a 20th century Boy Scout. But his approach, while visually impressive, led to serious critique surrounding Cavill's incomplete superhero suit. The decision to ultimately include trunks in the upcoming film was deeply influenced by Cornsweat himself. For him, the trunks weren't just another part of the costume but the very thing that defined Superman. They were a part of the mythos that kept the otherwise intense character a little grounded in silliness, just as a clever contrast to his powers. The return of the trunks in Superman 2025 will be a sort of emotional reassurance for fans. Fan reactions across social media to this return to an OG Superman tradition have been extremely positive. The enthusiasm highlights how even the tiniest of details in costume design can have the biggest impact on how the character is perceived. The red trunks are more than just a throwback to the original Clark Kent. They're a visual anchor in Superman's design. In the comic books, the trunks helped break the bodysuit's monotone silhouette, making the character more iconic and balanced. Eventually, the trunks came to be a tradition, religiously followed by the writers of Action Comics. Zack Snyder had to battle with the rating board over Batman v Superman, revealing the board's issue with the iconic superhero showdown. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Released back in 2016, almost a decade ago, the film is one of Snyder's most contentious films of all time. Even though the two superheroes have gone against each other in the DC Comics multiple times, Snyder once revealed that so unfathomable was this idea to the rating board that he had to fight to keep the film's PG-13 rating. Zack Snyder's DCU, or what we more commonly call Snyderverse, is long dead and gone. However, despite their debatable nature, Snyder's DC flicks continue to be watched and talked about even today. One of these flicks is the horrendously reviewed Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. And Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice bears the majority of this criticism, thanks to its polarizing concept of pitting two of DC's most iconic heroes against each other. The concept was thought to be found so problematic for the big screen that the Motion Picture Association wanted to give the film an R rating instead of a PG-13. Zack Snyder is a brilliant filmmaker, yet he has always been a polarizing figure in the world